Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Hey guys, back again to answer your question. Hope everybody's having a good spring so far. I know there's been a lot of storms. I hope everybody's safe from all that stuff and not getting any damage and nobody's hurt or anything like that. Been a little bit of a weird spring season here in southern Indiana, a lot cooler than normal. But then looking at nature, there's a lot of things that are like a month ahead of time, and there's a lot of things that are a month behind time. And trying to get the garden planted this year has been a little bit of a pain in terms of either animals bothering things. Like I got blackbirds out there pulling my damn corn out of the ground probably as we speak. I'm going to have to replant that tomorrow. Potato bugs seem to have, Colorado potato beetles seem to have emerged pretty early this year and attacked my tomato plants pretty heavily. I had to replant a bunch of those. So hope your all's gardens are doing better this year than what mine is. It's been a little bit of a nightmare so far. And, you know, I'm resolute enough that I'll just go out there and replant every day until something finally does take off, and that's just the nature of it. And plan on growing a good number of pumpkins this year for Penny and her cousins and friends for this fall. We always have an annual Halloween party, and I like to be able to grow that stuff for them girls. So anyways, working on the Almanac for 2026 now. We've got the 2025 one. We have physical copies available that you can order anytime at thealchemistcabinet.com in the warehouse section, and I'll sign those and send those out to you. 2026, I should have that thing done by July. Should be at the printers by July. With any luck, in hand, August or September, at the actual right time that an almanac is supposed to come out for the winter time. Going to be a lot more dense information-wise in terms of the astrology, in terms of distilling articles. There's a really long article in there from a presentation I did a couple years ago for Beck's Mill and also for the depot in Salem, Indiana, talking about the history of the Black Forest. And there's a lot of information in there. It took me a long time to sort of take that talk and turn it into an article. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it if you want to know more about my region and the distilling history here and Hoosier occupied northern Kentucky, as it were. So keep your eye on oldhomestead.dc or oldhomesteaddc.com for everything coming out of Old Homestead. We've got spirits available now, tastings. We got cocktails in the tasting room. We got slushies. I think there's like, damn, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like 6 or 8 different slushies in there. We've got the sunshine spirits made out of malted roasted sunflowers. We got Newton Stewart, which is our white corn moonshine made from the Elise corn. We've got the 9 Herb Charm, which is a alpine inspired cordial. We've got the various flavored sunshines. We got cinnamon, lemon balm, black cherry, or not lemon balm, black cherry, root beer, and butterscotch. We've got an Amburana sunflower sunshine. It's getting late in the day. I'm getting a little tired. But anyways, got some questions here today. And you guys, please keep sending your questions along. I love answering them. I love meeting you guys. I look forward to meeting you guys all at Old Homestead eventually. And let's see what else we got here. So this is from, who is this from? I'm actually not sure who it's from. There's a fly went up my nose just now. A little pecker gnat. Hey Alan, just recently found your videos on YouTube and I'm grateful that you dedicate time to help this community. I just recently purchased a used still and I'm very new to this. I've never made any other spirits. So many times having lots of questions and no answers makes this daunting at times. I understand. Everybody starts out there and that's the beautiful thing about the internet and the culture that has developed. You can give credit where credit is due here. The culture that has developed because of the show Moonshiners. That's really what spurred a lot of this home distilling on, to be quite honest, guys. And so it's, at the very least, it's great because it's given us a community of people that we can talk to that do have experience and can tell us what we're doing wrong or give us new ideas or inspire us and that sort of thing. I'm on my 10th distillation using a 15-gallon 4-inch still with 6 sections. Only used all 6 once. Been everywhere in between. The last couple runs I went 3 and 4 with little reflux control proof. I found I don't really like the floral taste that comes at 160 and up. So I try to keep 130 to 140-ish. It's interesting. So I love that floral thing, those highline distillations, almost what you would call light whiskey. I really like it when I can pull that sort of jasmine rice kind of character off of something. But I can understand why certain people don't like that. But I think for a white spirit, for me, I love that. Now, the 130, 140 you're talking about, of course, that's a little bit more in line with traditional double pot still distillation, bourbon proofs and rye proofs and wheat whiskey proofs and that sort of thing. A lot more flavor, a lot heavier body. I'm on Gen 4 of Uncle Jesse's Simple Sour Mash and starting to get a nice grainy taste. But I'm not sure if this is normal, but when I smell the distillate, even proof down, there seems to be a sharp nose to it. Maybe normal, not sure. I would describe it as maybe like Jesse refers to dry cement. Seems I only get it when swishing it around in a jar. I watched a video you did tasting Jesse's spirits and you commented that you couldn't pick up any distilling mistakes, which brings me here. Am I doing something wrong to create that, or is it normal? So I've used organic sugar, daddy yeast to start, and cracked corn. So what you're probably getting is that really sharp aroma. I doubt it's heads. It doesn't sound like heads. Heads are, acetaldehyde. They're going to smell like fingernail polish remover. What you're probably getting is some of the burn from the cane sugar. Sugar has a very pronounced effect on the aroma of spirits, without a doubt. There's only rare instances where it doesn't. So one would be an inverting the sugar. So actually breaking that sugar down from sucrose to fructose, which is easier for the yeast to work on. That seems to take some of the burn, some of the off kind of smell that you're talking about, that sort of cement sort of smell. It knocks a lot of that down. But it is entirely common and entirely normal for sugar shines to have a little bit of that aroma, or like as Jesse sometimes says, the sugar bowl aroma of grandma's house, right? That is definitely a part and parcel of sugar shines, especially cold mash sugar shines where there is no inversion. Inverting sugar is really, really easy. You can look it up, but it basically involves simmering the sugar and water with a little bit of acid, like say lemon juice, for a little bit of time to make a simple syrup. Much easier on the yeast, and it will knock that down, although sugar always has a little sharpness. Watch your specific gravities too. The more sugar you use, the more of that you're going to get. So at home, typically, when I was distilling at home, it was 1 pound per gallon is what I was using, which is not a very high specific gravity, maybe 1055 or so. We definitely bumped the sugar way up at Old Homestead, but the way that we get around having too much of that sort of aroma, or the unappealing version of that aroma, we don't invert sugar because we would drop and crash pH with our water the way it is. Ask me how I know. I did that. It took me about 2 weeks to figure out what the hell was going on with my pH before I finally figured out that it was a water issue. But running that double thumper system, all that copper contact, etc., making really, really tight heads and tails cuts on white spirits, we're able to avoid most of it. Now, some of it's still there. You will still get some of it, but again, it's not a fault. That's characteristic of a sugar shine. So, yeah, you're not doing anything wrong, man. You just keep at it, and you just got to figure out what you like. Airing that spirit out over time, over a couple weeks with some kind of material, leave the jar lid cracked, maybe put some cheesecloth over it or something. That will help it a little bit. But that's just the nature of a sugar shine. It's just the way they are. And I've actually come to figure out, for my own personal preference, I guess, because I grew up in a family with moonshine and I grew up around it. For me, I actually prefer that over the smell of an all-grain white whiskey most of the time, and the flavor of an all-grain white whiskey most of the time. I know that probably puts me in an odd camp compared to some of the purists out there, but you like what you like, right? Straight up corn whiskey, done the old-fashioned way with no sugar, unless you grew up with that, probably not all that appealing most of the time. But now, sugar and corn, no cook, yeah, it's not necessarily a sipper, right? Something that you're going to drink pretty quick, but just the nature of it. Depends on what you like. So, next question is from my good friend Bob Knight. So, let's see. He says, "Hi, thanks for a great Old Homestead distillery tour you dropped this week." You're welcome, Bob. I really hope that you get to make it to Old Homestead sometime soon. I get to meet you in person and show you around, brother. I look forward to that. My question is about gin. Maybe my first try making gin last week. Late in the process, I realized I had no licorice botanical. I'd like to add it to my profile. I'm thinking my best option is to macerate it in my current final spirit blend, which is at 150 proof. What are your thoughts on it, specifically at what proof, and for how long should I macerate, and how much per gallon would you recommend? Best as always, Bob. So, Bob, I would not add that post-distillation. It's going to color the spirit, first of all, and it's going to flavor the spirit substantially. It will probably also cloud the spirit because of the glycerin or glycerol that is in the licorice root. The other thing you got to remember with licorice root is that licorice root is a vasodilator, so it constricts. There's the dog again. Constricts blood vessels. Now you have to be careful with that in general, but in distillation, it's not all that bad. You know, you're not getting all that. You're not carrying all that across during the distillation. But if you macerate, it's certainly going to be there in much higher quantities, right? You may take up your blood pressure, or somebody drinking may have blood pressure problems, etc. What I would do is set that gin aside, and maybe run another gin, the exact same one, and add licorice root to that, and then add all the gin, including what you already distilled, back to the still and redistill everything together. Or just make a batch with twice the amount of licorice, so what you would use, for the first batch you didn't use licorice in, and for the second batch, and then run that second gin, and then take what is finished and mix it with the previous gin run. That would be my suggestion. That's where you'll find the consistency at, and you'll avoid a lot of the issues that I just mentioned. But I definitely wouldn't macerate the licorice root, brother. But all right, guys. Well, that's what I got for you for tonight. Love y'all. Catch you soon.